are the things that I naturally like? Because then you will be able to identify the project leaders, the project themselves that are truly aligned with who you are as a person. And it's the first step to me that will enable your success as an investor, because then you can understand.
Hello everyone, we're here again with Anthony this week to help us on the journey to become better investors by understanding our investment personas, ourselves, and the behaviors we have when investing. A first step in that, we would say that it's by starting to ask questions, not to just go and look for answers.
Yeah, Alex, thank you for taking the time again this week to dialogue with our community, share our experience, and hopefully make everyone else a better investor. And the same for us as well, right? What we say before is we learn about ourselves doing this exercise and this show. So it's a pleasure as well. Yeah. So look, as you mentioned, part of becoming a better investor is about finding your persona. And maybe I can explain in further details what does it mean to find your persona. And if you want, I guess when you're a little kid, you like to have this hero, because this hero is your source of aspiration, and it can guide you as well to become an adult, so to become a grown-up and to be more in a position to take good decisions. And I think when we grow up, sometimes we tend to forget that when we learn something new, we become babies again. This physical form can be mistaken for wisdom. But I guess every time we learn something new, we need to go back to the fundamentals. And we are babies. We are babies to the world. So I guess one of the elements of growing up as an investor, a better investor, is to find your persona. And finding your persona is the idealistic self, or the idealistic vision of the type of investor you want to become. And the beauty of identifying very clearly what it is, it will provide you a North Star. Because we receive so many information, noise, and fear of missing out, all this type of emotion, and they can come to our way to become a better investor if you don't have this North Star that can help you to find back your path when you feel lost. And we all feel lost this journey. I've been saying in the previous video, I've been investing for 15 years, and sometimes I feel myself lost. I made mistakes because the noise was more important than my ideal self. But because I have a clear, I think, vision of who I am and what I want for my investment, then it's easy for me to find back my balance and my path. And so we are here to discuss this topic and to say, how can we get there? What's the initial steps to get there?
I was just about to go, this sounds wonderful, but how would me or anybody else listening into this, what would be first steps that they could take to try and identify that North Star?
It's a very good question. And it comes to, for me, the first step. The first step is about not trying to look for answer, but start by asking yourself the right questions. And I think what I noticed, for example, at SwissBorg, I'm in charge of product, and generally speaking, we spend not enough time trying to identify the question, and we rush into solutions or answers. So I guess the number one mistake that most people will do when they start the investment journey is to go on Google and type something like that will sound like, what are the 10 tips to become, a successful investor? So they look for answers, but they don't ask the right question in the first place. And funny enough, a week ago, a friend of mine, she's 40 years old, she came to me and she's looking for a new job because, she done a startup and didn't work the way it was expected, and now she's go back to the marketplace. And I find a lot of similarities with her looking for a new job and someone that will start an investment. And she's 40 years old, so of course she's experienced, but she will keep doing the same mistakes. So she will look for titles, she will look for money, and of course she has a family, so you can't blame her. But she will look for a lot of answers or a lot of output, but she didn't really ask herself the right question. And I think the first question you need to ask yourself, for example, when you look for a job is it my passion? And it seems idealistic, but I don't think it is, because when you find something that really drives you, that is not painful when you wake up in the morning, then you invest a lot of time, a lot of energy, right? And as a consequence, you become a better professional, and it's become a self-reinforcing mechanism, because when you become better at what you do, money will come, title will come, but it was not the initial objective, right? Because you might have the competencies, right? So for example, the first thing she do, looking for a new job, instead of going to take the time with herself to say, how can I reflect on my journey? What did I learn in these past 2 years about myself? What is the part of the job that I've done that makes me very happy or very energized? I think one of the good examples to assess, are you doing something that you like, is, for example, before going to a meeting, measure being conscious about your energy level. And after the meeting, is my energy level increase or decrease? And of course, you can feel exhausted, right? So for example, today we have this show. It's not my natural ability to speak. That's not necessarily something that I'm very comfortable to do, but I love to share what I have to share with the community. I love to share the knowledge. I love to exchange, to receive feedback. I love this. So after our session, I will feel exhausted, maybe a little bit mentally, but I feel very good with my energy because I'm doing something where I feel truly connected. So coming back to my friend's example, looking for a job, first thing that she's doing, she's go online, she say, okay, how can I learn marketing? How can I learn this class? And she's trying to accumulate knowledge. Didn't take the time to try and identify what she's very good at. Because when you're very good at, then there is this self-reinforcing mechanism. If you take Ronaldo, for example, he's a very successful football player, then do it for the money. Of course, money comes because he's so good and so famous and so skilled that money comes ultimately. But he will pay for free. I look at the documentary of him last time. After the training, go back home and play football because he genuinely loved the thing. So coming back to the topic of today, which is investment, I think it's very important to identify in the first place the things that to question yourself, what are the things that I naturally like? Because then you will be able to identify the project leaders, the project themselves that are truly aligned with who you are as a person. And it's the first step to me that will enable your success as an investor, because then you can understand. And then when you understand, you can refeed these learnings into your investment skills, right? And when you refeed these things into your investment skills, then you become a better investor. Because again, I think we touched base this topic during our first video. Investment is not a perfect science. And when it's not a perfect science, it means that psychology will play a role. So there is a subjective part that plays a role. And part of becoming successful is to identify as objectively as we can this part of investment. And the first step is ask yourself the questions. Do not rush into answers. The answers will come as the questions are clear.
So for people listening to this, maybe take a piece of paper, write down what actually interests you, and start looking at projects within those spaces. Most likely there are going to be topics and areas that you already have some knowledge in, so you can start to see, okay, what are actors doing that are leading this field? What are they doing that is unique? And maybe use that as a starting point rather than rather than Googling the 5 top performing ETFs or top performing cryptos, because that might change. But if you align your investment with your beliefs and your passion, it becomes a lot more fun to do the due diligence and to get involved with the communities and to truly understand where these projects are heading. Would that be an accurate, or would that be a good way for people to start?
Absolutely. I think until maybe a few years ago, finance and investment have been perceived as something extremely boring, not entertaining at all, and almost like homework that you need to have to do because you need to do it. The reality is it's beautiful. It can be beautiful. It can be very entertaining. And I guess crypto has managed to do that because people, they have this football fan moment. Not only they invest their money, but they invest their emotion, they invest their will, because it's very easy to connect. I think the vision of crypto project is very accessible. So it makes people believe in it. It becomes almost religion. But I think we need to be very, again, conscious about that. Is everything is a matter of belief. Most of our life is a matter of belief anyway, as a society. So it's very important to invest into things that you believe in. And it's not to neglect, of course, science and tools science has provided the tools for anyone to become a better investor, but the tools doesn't make the investor. I think they are a help to train yourself, to orientate yourself. Again, there's a lot of noise all around the place. So to give you a path, but you need to truly do something that you align with. The same with sport, right? There is a bunch of rules, a bunch of techniques that can be learned, but if you don't like it, it's never going to work, right? And I think most of the people, when they approach investment, they force themselves into a model. They force themselves to read charts, for example, to go for technical analysis. And as my friend looking for a job, they start to learn something. But before learning, you need to get very much aligned with who you are as a person, which lead, I think, to the question is, how do I find these things?